everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Grind City Wrestling. It's the Grind City exclusive, and our special guest here today is a WWE Hall of Famer, one of the GOATs, not only in Memphis wrestling, but in the world of professional wrestling. It's Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Welcome back to Grind City Wrestling.
Dustin, what an intro, my man.
Well, I'm looking over here.
I paid you
making
right.
sure you don't have a guitar hidden anywhere where you might be swinging that.
I have to jump in here.
Come on now.
I'm the A-lister, and you introed Jeff before the A-lister?
Yeah, Dustin Starr, E-Rock, Eric
Oh, there we
McMahon,
go.
Devon Walker, baby, all here to talk.
Devin, I love the shirt.
Appreciate you, man. Hey, I'm a collector of T-shirts, man. I've been trying to find a Jeff Jarrett old school tee for a long time.
Yeah, where's the Slapnut shirt?
Oh, hey now.
So that's the one I've been looking for.
It's out. Go to pwts.com, Jeff Jarrett store. So
He wants the original.
I want the
That's
OG,
there.
Jeff. I can't get the new one. I want the OG. This is the OG.
He needs the screen print.
Physically old one. I
Yeah.
mean, you can get the logo, but oh wow.
The
No, I want
screen
the
print needs to
physically,
kind of
like,
be
OG ones.
picking off a little bit. It needs to be old. It needs to be faded. It can't be a brand new T-shirt,
You
Jeff.
wouldn't believe this, but I probably got about 6 or 7 at my house left.
Wow.
Hey, I'll make a trip to Nashville.
Road
I got
trip.
you.
Oh yeah, here
I
we go.
got
The
you.
real collector. All
Well,
right.
not only welcome back to Grind City Wrestling, but welcome back to Memphis. Is it any different any of these times that you go away and come back to perform?
It's always different. Times evolve. You know, downtown Memphis years ago certainly didn't have the FedEx Forum.
Right.
Years ago, it was just go to 1960 Union Avenue, WMC Studios, go to the Mid-South Coliseum, maybe hit exit 12, get our food, go to sleep, and go home.
But it couldn't be all that different because, as obviously this audience knows, he headlined Memphis Grizzlies Wrestling Night
Yes,
like 4
course.
years ago.
Amazing how time flies. No, it's very cool. All kidding aside, I drove down last night. I got in from Houston, Dynamite Wednesday, landed in Nashville yesterday, went home, recorded my podcast, and then did some things around the house, and then jumped in the car. And so coming down I-40 last night, I couldn't help but kind of reminisce
Yeah.
how many times I did it twice a week for about 7 years, from 86 to 93. And every time I come back, there's a little something different. It's growing here, growing there. But, you know, I'll say this, Mempho will always be Mempho. A lot of folks say,
Mempho.
oh, Memphis. I said, no, it's Mempho to me.
It is rolling down the street. What did Hanson Jimmy used to say?
Rolling into Mempho, TWA. There we go.
Tell all the
E-Rock
women,
knows
Hanson
nothing
Jimmy's
about
on the
that. I
way.
can
Yeah.
tell he knows nothing about that.
All right,
about
this
Hanson
Saturday, AEW Collision for the first time ever, not only in Memphis, but here at FedEx Forum.
Plus Battle of the Belts.
Yes.
It's kind of amazing. We were just talking this before we rolled things. E-Rock said, how's it going? And I said, well, did you see our little bitty show we did over in Wembley Stadium?
Yeah, little bitty.
Yeah, right.
81,000 paid, but no, things are crazy. It's amazing, but it's very cool for me that at this stage of my career, Dustin, you know, who in the world did you have it on your bingo card that Jeff Jarrett would be in a Memphis street fight at the FedEx Forum on Collision on global television, live on TNT tomorrow night at 7 o'clock? So it really is. I just can't say how grateful, honored. I'm excited. I'm fired up. Karen's going to be there, so it's special. It really is. You know, I've done this a long time, but to be able to be it doesn't top the Grind City Wrestling and Chris Wrestling. I just
Good.
E-Rock,
Good. I'm starting to get a little offended here.
I kind of felt the heat coming over. No, it's very special. And there's no doubt about
Well,
it.
that brings up an interesting point because you say, like, you know, how special it is, but how many Memphis street fights? I mean, you obviously have the home court advantage
Yeah.
when it comes to a Memphis street fight, right? Eddie Kingston, yeah, he might be a tough guy, but he's probably never been in a Memphis street fight before. I mean, whoop that trick is going to be busting out.
Crump? Are we talking about Poplar? Are we talking about Union? Which street did I get in the fight on? But no, certainly my Beale Street brawls were a little bit different back in the day. But
Do you think a whoop that trick will be busted out tomorrow night?
For sure,
Oh,
bro.
man.
There's easily, for sure. The Memphis crowd's going to be electric.
all right, talk to me about that. What's this?
It's a new energy with the Memphis wrestling crowd. Like
I love it.
It's a new energy.
Bring it
Anytime,
on.
Yeah,
Oh,
they are
yeah.
all in.
Well, so when the crowd starts singing, whoop that trick, so the Memphis Grizzlies battle cry now, right?
That's what it is?
Yes.
Oh.
It's also the theme song for Memphis Wrestling on television. Al
Cheap plug.
Capizzi.
Oh,
Not a cheap
boy.
plug. He actually cut a custom Memphis Wrestling version for our television program.
Very
So
synonymous from an old movie called Hustle and Flow. made here in Memphis.
Yeah.
Whoop that trick.
Can I get that as my theme music?
Why not?
My theme music for tomorrow night?
You mentioned your bingo card. You didn't have that on the bingo card. I'll tell you what I did not have at the bingo card is a Jeff Jarrett that is in such physical tip-top condition. Brother, you look like world champion material physically, and you're going to fight Eddie Kingston in a Memphis street fight?
Yeah, buddy.
I don't think I'd want to fight Eddie Kingston in any kind of fight.
I got serious about coming out of the pandemic. I decided to get in as good a shape as I possibly could. And, next week, matter of fact, will be 6 years since I've taken a drop of alcohol. And is it amazing? Well, I appreciate that. But it's amazing what that'll do to your metabolism.
And if you recall, your first booking was where?
Right here.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
right here.
Man, wow, what a...
It was.
It
Now,
sure was.
also talking about that Memphis
recall,
wrestling
nice.
karma, what happened immediately after that? Went into the WWE.
I mean, I'm not saying that we're like your lucky, your lucky
Hall of
recipe
Fame.
here.
He's leaning on me. Yes. I do not lose sight of that. But, it's crazy. I decided to, coming out of the pandemic, I've always stayed in good shape, but I decided to buckle down. I said, I'm going to get in the best possible shape of my life. At that stage of my career, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I was an executive at WWE in the pandemic and all kinds of things. And then Ric Flair's last match. That kind of just happened out of nowhere, and the success with that. And things have not slowed down for the last outlaw inside the wrestling ring.
Take a second and talk about that. Ric Flair's last match. I mean, a whole group of trainees and Memphis wrestling guys loaded up in my living room. First time it's ever happened, because we watch pay-per-views at Dave & Buster's and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody came over to the house to watch you wrestle Ric Flair in his last match. It was one of the coolest things ever.
I'm going to turn the table on you and just ask you a question, because there's 3 different types of wrestling fans that comment on the Ric Flair last match. Ones that were there live, ones that were watching on pay-per-view, and then ones that saw clips on social media.
I watched it live on Twitter, but like through the clips.
So what was the feedback?
Guilty.
What was the feedback? Because if you were there live, no explanation would do. There was electricity, and look, I'll give it all to Rick. I've said going into the show and coming out of it, in a lot of ways, it was Ric Flair and others. But the build to it, with Jay Lethal legitimately being one of his best friends and mentor and mentee and everything that goes with that, and then just kind of the rollout and how me and Rick's our paths crossed, and Conrad Thompson, the story was there, and people were so into it, and the marketing was off the charts. And when you have a full house, I mean, there was over 9,000 at Nashville Miss Auditorium. So the electricity was there, but I know there was a lot of some negative feedback on it, and I think Rick has played into that. But
you guys'
what was
work.
your thoughts on it?
I was looking at the work rate of everybody around Ric Flair, right? Because being in the business, of course, we knew it was good business. The house is packed. Everybody's buying it on pay-per-view, even us. But then I'm watching the work because I'm keeping an eye on Ric Flair. But you guys worked so hard to make Rick look as good as he possibly could. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was a little scary watching, too.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah.
When Flair, and also, let's talk about WCW. Back in the day, you were the new Ric Flair. You and Flair were on screen together, the Horsemen. You were going to be the new leader and all that stuff.
And I do
Perfect.
Like you guys, in my podcast world, having the ability to go back in time, but we've got 2 research guys that really dug up and put the timeline together. And I think about just kind of the mistiming. Rick had inner ear issues. He had health problems, all the drama backstage at WCW, the ins and outs, the time of the industry going on. Me and Rick, we almost got there to a singles match. It's one of those things. I wonder if that would have taken place. But
I wanted it.
Yeah, the table was set back then, but it never happened. But it's funny how all these years later, and again, Ric Flair's last match, Kid Rock, Undertaker, Mick Foley, having those guys front row. My father sitting. I've never seen my dad sit front row in his life.
I popped.
I couldn't believe it.
I popped. I did. I was looking at the crowd. I saw Conrad Thompson out there.
Well, so I'm glad you bring all
It's
that
the who's who.
We're talking about all this stuff that has happened historically and currently, and it seems like as big of a name as you have been in this industry for the last 20 some odd years, it's almost like you're even bigger now.
Right.
You have the podcast, My World. I love it. I'm a weekly listener.
Right on.
Right. I mean, I don't know how many Dark Side of the Rings and all these documentaries that you have been a focal point of, not only with the WWE thing, but then
Tales of the Territory.
Oh my
Tales of the
gosh.
Territory, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and then Ric Flair's match, and now you're a top figure in AEW. Is it wild? Are you almost busier now than you were 20 years ago?
For sure. And I've gotten into the minor league baseball business, and I'm partners in a video game. Yeah, it is. As I just kind of alluded to, life is a roller coaster, the ups and downs. I do not lose sight, and I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that have come my way, specifically the last 5.5 years. At China, I'm a testament. There's no doubt in my life. There's a testament for myself that is, if you do the next right thing day in, day out, good things are going to happen. And when I say the next right thing, do things for others. If you worry about figuring out how you can help, I mean, literally your best friend to somebody straight off the street, if you worry about that every day, everything else takes care of itself.
Well, Dustin books himself on top, so what can
That
you
is
do
not
for
true.
Dustin?
That's not true. I'm the commentator, brother. I get paid to talk. Hey, I'll tell you
He
this.
wants me to come in, and he's talking about how good
No,
I look.
you
know what
actually-
that's a setup for you,
Oh,
Ron?
yeah.
Oh, Jeff, you look great. Are you in the best shape of your life? Hey, can I book you for Memphis Wrestling? I'm coming out of retirement. I
I'll
got to
tell
beat
you,
Definitely.
You
we
got to
are-
put me over just
we
like
are
you put
big
the-
fans of Memphis Championship Wrestling, but I know that Devin has been talking before, and he has a question that he needs to ask.
Yeah, I
Bring
have
it,
to
Devin.
ask you.
Bring
So,
it.
but before I get to the question, I just want to say you said your name's bigger than ever. As someone who collects T-shirts, I'm wearing the Lockdown shirt from
09.
09. Shout out to
Philly.
Team 3D. And I go on eBay probably months before. I looked up Jeff Jarrett T-shirts, from the Slapnuts tee to the old school Jeff Jarrett tees. They're going for at least $600 each. So the name Jeff Jarrett is
Stop
still
Good job, Jeff. Wow.
Jeff,
I'm not making a
You better
penny
put
off
those
this.
T-shirts you have. You better put them on eBay.
Yeah, I've had them bookmarked for a while. I'm waiting for the price to go down because I need a Jeff Jarrett tee in my collection. But the real question I have to ask you, I've seen so many guitar shots in my 29, 30-year-old life, from the Slapnuts the shot, the Beetlejuice shot.
Oh, wow.
What's your favorite guitar shot of all time?
And why is it Beetlejuice?
And why
Yeah,
is
it's
the
got to be
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice, right?
I've told the story many, many times. I've got 5 kids. My youngest daughter, she's 18 now. So she was in middle school, 6th, 7th grade. She came home from school, maybe even a freshman in college. Freshman in high school, a couple years ago. She came home and was like, Dad, this was shown to me today. Why did you hit this little guy? And I knew immediately, but I played along with it. I said, what are you talking about? She's like, well, it's kind of this little guy. You're like in a back hallway. Were you at a wrestling show? And I'm like, honey, did you not see that he kind of mouthed off at me? And
Right.
You know what happens when somebody back talks me. She's like,
You can't talk back to King of the Mountain.
No.
but the Beetlejuice thing fits in so many random.
It is like a meme.
It's a
GIF.
meme.
It's
It is a
bizarre.
GIF on Twitter. If you just type, it'll come up. Like I've tweeted that out, or I've X'd it out a bunch of
To
times.
tell you the truth, one of the things that to this day still gets a crazy reaction, and for me personally, because she was friends with my grandmother, and when you really know the situation, because if you were to, we're all kind of wrestling folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we go down here and let's just say we walk into a bank and walk up to a teller and say, do you know of any 72-year-old
I knew
woman
you were going to say this.
that would be willing to get up in her arena, Albany, New York, with maybe 10,000 people, and take a guitar shot. And before she takes a guitar shot, she walks up to you backstage and says, if you don't knock the hell out of me, you're going to have hell to pay. And I say, yes, ma'am. Fabulous Moolah.
Yes.
Wow.
I forgot about that one.
That is one, when you really get out of the wrestling world and just kind of get into everyday life and
Yeah.
think a man in his 30s tried to hit a lady who was in their 70s as hard as they can with
Oh,
a
man.
guitar. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it, E-Rock?
You know what?
Only in wrestling, baby. Only in wrestling, baby.
Exactly, Dig, exactly.
That was part of my second I went through phases in my
Yeah,
wrestling
we
love,
all
right?
do.
So I was a product of Superstars, right, in the 80s, 90s, right? And then the late 90s Attitude. Then my love came back, and that's when all that happened. And And we always think about, like, you can't get away with half the stuff now. There's no way you could get away with smashing a guitar over a 76-year-old sweet old lady's head. And we're sitting here laughing about it, Jeff.
I don't think
we
I
are
could get
horrible
away
people.
with at least knocking out Gary Coleman or.
Oh, that was good too.
That was a good
He
one.
wore a hat though, right?
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, he was
He
nervous.
arrives at Nitro at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we kind of lay out what the segments are, and he says, "Okay, I'm ready to go." And like, where? And he goes, "I want to go to the toy store." Literally. So our friend Jeremy Borash has his rental car, and Jeremy's duties for the afternoon at this TV taping were to chauffeur Gary Coleman. So they go to the toy store, and they're looking at all kinds of things, and JB's like, "What am I doing with my life here? I'm babysitting Willis. Who am I?"
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. And so they get back to the building, and Gary Coleman's a little nervous, but nobody knew this. He was kind of thinking ahead, so he's got the ball cap on. He goes in the bathroom, which we didn't know, stuffs it full of toilet paper, puts it on his head. Like, that's going to help.
Right.
Think about the logic. I'm going to put toilet paper inside of my baseball.
That's a good padding, right?
What? And then he didn't play the tape forward, and he gets up on the second rope, and he's bouncing up and down before the guitar shot. The hat pops off. It goes back in the ring. He jumps down, scoops the toilet paper on, puts it back into his cap, puts it on, crack with the guitar.
Wow.
That's a only in professional wrestling, right there.
Only in wrestling, baby.
So let me ask you,
Unbelievable.
Beetlejuice, Gary Coleman, or Moolah? What's your favorite?
I would say that because
Or you got an alternate.
because I use it as much as I do the Beetlejuice one. I probably use the Beetlejuice guitar shot at least once a month.
Well, and,
That's
and
hilarious.
here's,
For
and
some-
here's the
for
deal.
some reason.
Howard Stern was so big at that
boy.
time.
Oh, yeah.
So big. And, Beetlejuice was a favorite regular guest. So
Big time.
as ridiculous as that was, it was so timely and it was so big, and it's almost like just grown throughout the year.
Yeah.
Stern
It'll
said
live
it's
forever.
the greatest thing, and I know he probably didn't really mean it, but at that time, the following morning on his monster syndicated show, folks, I saw the greatest thing I've ever seen on live television.
Love it. All right, Jeff, we could literally talk to you all day long.
love it.
I know that you've got other things you have to go do in town. AEW Collision this Saturday, first time ever at FedEx Forum. You can get your tickets at AEWTix.com. Battle of the Belts, Memphis Street Fight, Jeff Jarrett, Eddie Kingston. Any final thoughts heading into that
Come
event?
on down, AEW. I'm pumped, dude. And you know what? I'm going to kind of throw it on you guys. When am I coming to a Grizz game?
Ooh.
When am I getting
We do
when
have
am I getting
opening
the
night
invite?
coming
When-
up.
when am I
Pull up.
getting
Coming
the
up.
invite?
Pull up. We got a whole season on deck. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's roll.
Let's go.
That's my real first love, basketball.
Hey, okay, wait. Before we get out of here, let me
All right,
let me
hold
ask.
on.
Your first love basketball. Who's your favorite team of all time? Favorite team or favorite players of all time? Jeff Jarrett. How about this? Jeff Jarrett starting 5 all time. Starting
Oh,
five.
come
That's
on.
a good one.
Oh,
Put him
my
on the
God.
spot
Yeah.
for that. All right, favorite team's got to be the Bulls with Jordan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I
We'll
mean,
take away
like-
that. Jeff
Oh,
Jarrett
no,
starting
you got-
5.
No.
I'm a huge Celtics Laker fan. So
Okay.
I'm going to go Magic 1.
Okay.
Larry Legend's got to get on there then.
I'll save him for late. Larry
He's the
Legend.
bench. He's on the bench.
Till this day, I drive Karen crazy. At night, I kind of wind down, TV off, trying to wind down everything, and I'll listen to different things on my phone and all that. And then when I go to put it off, because there's the little reels and the shorts, to this day, I will still click on it. She goes, enough of the Larry Bird. I will watch those. The trash talk. Karl Malone, when he describes it. McDaniel, when he's like, yeah, he told me I'm going to shoot. I mean,
I watch those all
Yeah.
the time too, as well. I
Yeah.
do.
The
And
best.
everybody's like, he was secretly the biggest shit talker in the entire league.
It's unbelievable. So yes, I'm. Starting 5. Hakeem.
Okay.
Ooh, the Dream.
I love the Dream. He could play. I got to go Barkley.
Okay.
So I always have trouble. Who is my 2? Because I'll go Magic 1.
Okay.
I'll go. Maybe I'll put Sir Charles at 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is. Gosh, this day and age is. Oh my gosh.
Devin putting him on the spot.
Yeah,
here.
put him on the spot.
We know
man.
Jeff's a big sports
So
fan.
I'll go ahead and go. So, yeah. So Magic,
Uh huh.
Michael,
Okay.
Charles,
Okay.
Larry, and Hakeem.
Oh,
Ooh,
I
there
like
you
that.
go.
I like you can win some games with that starting five for
You
sure.
think?
Hey, wait,
For
hold on,
sure.
hold on, really quick. We ain't aging Mr. Jeff Jarrett over here in any way, shape, or form, though.
All-time greats, man.
Well, I mean, who in the modern era? Because I know LeBron, but who are you bumping out of that 5?
I mean, the only one that I could maybe think is take Hakeem out and put Shaq in, but
I love Shaq.
Maybe,
I was
yeah.
going to say, I mean, how do you discount?
or I mean, you can even put Ewing in there because it was so, the games were so eerily different but similar.
But also, how do you take out Kareem?
Yeah,
Exactly.
you can't.
Retired the greatest
Kareem
scorer.
is all-time leading scorer before
And then
LeBron.
you want to go behind that, you go Will Chamberlain. Then, like, who knows,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. All right, so put 2000 and on. D, give me your 5.
My 5, 2000 and on okay. I'll go point guard. So I can't go Magic then. I'll go Steph.
Okay.
Ooh, uh-huh.
I'll go Kobe.
Okay.
I'll
I
go
forgot.
There you go, Kobe.
LeBron, KD, Shaq.
Wow.
All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Where does Iverson fall in all of this?
That's tough. See, that's the thing. Like,
And I'm talking about prime, the best of the best of AI.
he might fall. He might be my first person off the bench. Like, if I was a rank, like I would say 2000 and on, he
If
might
he
be the
played more than 3 games for the Memphis Grizzlies, would he have made the list?
Right.
Memphis Grizzlies.
If you
legend.
recall, he was
Honestly.
at Memphis Grizzlies for like 4 games.
Can I tell you, look, I could talk all day. I'll never forget the first time I met him in Philly.
Yeah.
We're doing a wrestling show there, and it was our show. So they didn't anyway, but different groups came in of different players and all this.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden, and the guy, my buddy, who worked at the building, used to work for WWE, but now he worked at the building. He knew I was waiting on. Are we going too long?
No. We were actually secretly looking how cool you were. We're like, dude, this guy's amazing.
Yeah. So
You can talk as
they
long
knew
as you
I
want,
wanted-
Jeff.
They knew I wanted to meet Iverson.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they said, "All right, man, just put cool all this." And I'm like, "I'm waiting for him to get here." The whole group, probably 6 or 7 of them, walked past. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there looking, and I'm looking at all this. I didn't even recognize him because in my mind, there's no way that's AI. How small he is.
Yes.
He's tiny.
But he had the
big-
most disrespectful step over in the history of the NBA.
But you're like,
that
this guy
3
could score on. I mean, he's dropping 40 a night in his prime.
Pound for pound, he may be
Grind
one of the greatest
City
scorers ever.
Wrestling turns into Grind City basketball.
I love it. I love it. Hey,
Don't
I
bring
love
up
it.
the Tennessee Titans, though. Don't do that. Jeff's a huge
better
Titans and
mascot,
Preds fan.
T-Rack or Super Grizz.
Oh no! Don't get him in
That's-
trouble.
better
bro.
watch it.
That's
Better
that
watch
is
it.
so insulting. Super Grizz.
There we
yeah.
go.
Okay.
There we
All
go.
right. Well, thank you for joining us, Jeff. We'll see you
you.
Saturday, this Saturday. AEW Collision, first time ever. FedEx Forum. Get your tickets at AEWTix.com and watch Jeff Jarrett fight Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston, watch your ass. I'm going to tell you right now.
Thanks,
I am
guys.
Dustin Starr, E-Rock, Eric McMahon, Devin Walker, Bebe, and the Hall of Famer, Double J. That's J-E, double F, J-A, double R. Ha ha!
E double T.
E, double T. Jeff Jarrett. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I forgot Kobe. I'm not putting.